Right, now let's kick off with the Home Secretary, should we, who says the human rights of foreign sex offenders have previously been prioritised over the safety of British girls.
Yes, her comments come as Shabana Mahmood pledged to set up specialist teams to investigate rape and serious sexual offences in every police force across the country.
Well, it's part of what the government's branding the largest crackdown on violence against women and girls in British history.
Well, Labour also plans to limit how asylum seekers can use human rights laws, making it easier to deport foreign sex offenders.
Let's talk to the political editor at Times Radio, Anna Mikhailova. Is this a win for Labour in that they look like they're taking some pretty strong action, or even with this, do they still look like they're trailing behind what the Conservatives and what Reform say they will do?
Well, I think it's important to point out the significance of this is because Shabana Mahmood is the current Home Secretary. It is very easy for politicians to say things in opposition and very different to enact them when actually in government. And nowhere is that clearer than with the Conservative Party, which was obviously in government, oversaw a huge increase in migrant numbers, both legal and illegal, and now are saying many things, but, you know, many people in the public will look at that and say, well, what did you do about it? So Shabana Mahmood, by saying all this, is showing a real change in direction, even within Labour, even within the previous rhetoric from Yvette Cooper. She's come in, she has said repeatedly and made clear, both in public and to her civil servants, that she will do whatever it takes to crack down on both illegal migration and foreign offenders. And this interview, I mean, it is extraordinary if we just take a step back to see her effectively admit something that, you know, even a couple of years ago, if someone said this, they would have been pilloried for being, you know, unfair or you know, I think the reason it's welcome and the reason it's refreshing is because for a long time politicians have almost pretended this hasn't been a problem or this hasn't been as explicit as she states. I mean, she's literally saying that the human rights of foreign offenders have been prioritised over women and girls in Britain. So that's very, very significant. But the test will be whether or not the measures she's taking are going to work. And she does not operate in a vacuum. So even her big allies and people who really, really rate her, they will admit that she also is dealing with, you know, she's got a Justice Department she has to square off. She has an Attorney General who is seen as very pro-human rights. I mean, he is a human rights lawyer by background and a very senior one. She's got a former human rights prime minister. So none of this, and that's just taking apart the fact that within the Home Office, it's just a hugely cumbersome department with many, many things able to go wrong. So I think, you know, her comments today are certainly refreshing and it shows she's taking it very, very seriously. But the question is, will that actually translate into change?
Not long ago, I introduced Plord Note, a powerful AI-enabled meeting assistant, and today we're excited to have in hand Plord's latest upgraded version. Is this a platinum credit card? Nope. It's Plord Note Pro, your updated AI-powered meeting assistant. With 4 built-in microphones, Plord Note captures everything and records crystal clear audio up to 5 meters away. But it's more than a recorder. Take photos, jot ideas, mark highlights, and during key discussions, if I press the button just right here, it instantly saves 30 seconds of key audio as a highlight. I never miss important details. And you've got 50 hours non-stop recording on Note Pro, or 60 hours on standby. There's a smart display showing battery life, recording status, and file transfers, so you always know what's going on. Then, Plord turns it into structured notes, summaries, insights, to-dos, even analysis of power dynamics in the room. And with Ask Plord, your contextual AI assistant, you can draft emails, extract data, brainstorm, or find anything across past meetings. And you're safe knowing that your data is yours and completely private. Click the link in the video description to pre-order your Plord Note Pro. And if you'd like to experience Plord Intelligence even earlier, I've got a special offer for you. Use the code GB20 when ordering Plord Note and get 20% off.
Now, we talk about potential wins for the Labour government, and you mentioned there, Anna, about migration. Of course, we've been hearing over the past couple of days that it was 28 days, wasn't it, that we saw no boat crossings whatsoever. And that looks like it was starting to become a potential win for the Labour government. But, of course, we broke the news here on GBNews last night that the number of small boat migrant crossings has now surpassed 40,000 this year, which is a huge, huge setback, isn't it? And it's another one of those potential wins which has just not really come to fruition, has it?
Well, I think, obviously the longer term trend is what's important, but usually when people look at illegal migrant numbers, they look at the year as a whole. You can argue on whether or not that's fair, but the reason that's done is because weather plays an important part and seasonality plays an important part. So it's important to compare summer with summer, winter with winter. And certainly there were people in government who were very encouraged by this 28-day trend. But in the same way that you cannot say from that, well, small boat crossings have finished, you also can't look at that and say, well, it's been a complete failure. I think you can't look at this calendar year. This is the important point. You can't look at this calendar year and say it's been a success, because it's, the numbers are growing and they are far too big. And anyone will admit that who looks at this and is trying to work on it as well. So the test will be from January onwards. The test will be next year, will Labour's measures start to actually show some success?
OK, Anna, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate your time. Well, on that very story, let's talk to international security and border control expert Henry Bolton, who joins us now. I mean, you can't help but look at all of this and say, despite what we were told, about, Rwanda was the wrong idea, you've got to smash the gangs, we can solve this issue, and the problem has quite simply just got worse. There's no other way to look at this, is there?
No, the problem has got worse, and it's necessary to look at what we're being told about the reduction. Yes, it is true that since the first week, at the end of the first week of November, and now pretty much the number, there have been no crossings until yesterday. However, when we are told that that's not because of the weather, that is utterly and completely not the case. I live on the south coast, but there has not been one day in that period of time that has not been what's called Sea State 2, which is slight. That doesn't mean very much, but that is wave height. There has not been one day when the wave height has been less than 0.4 of a metre. Now, that's relevant because the boats do not cross if it's more than 1.5 feet, because they will get swamped. So you've got very cold water. You stand in the water as it's been. You will start to lose ability to control your muscles in 3 minutes. You can lose consciousness in half an hour. And in a sea state of 2, your boat is almost certainly going to get swamped, and you're going to end up in the water. This isn't risky. This it's tantamount to suicide. That is why the boats don't cross. And this year we have had a particularly consistent period of weather of that nature. That's why we've seen this reduction. Now, so that reduction, compared to last year or the year before, is actually it's not. There haven't been any crossings. There were a small amount on previous years because the sea state was calm. But, and here's the thing, that means that period of time has not contributed, whereas it normally would, to the annual figures. So if we had average weather, in fact, the figures would be even higher for the year. So, and even if that weren't the case, we've still got that top headline figure of plus of 40,000. We have got a serious problem. I have consistently said we will continue to have a serious problem until Some government comes along and says, we have to stop making the United Kingdom an attractive destination, because until we do, the boats will continue to come. We'll continue to have to house these people, accommodate them, feed them, and that's going to cost the exchequer. So there's just not the political will to lock horns with this in the way that it needs to be dealt with.
Henry, just really quickly, you say it's not going to happen until a government comes along who can do that. I want to ask you, do you think this could, in any circumstance, be the Labour government that we've got right now?
It could be any government. You've just got to develop the political will. This government is not going to do that. I mean, technically it could, but politically, I do not believe that it will. I mean, whatever Shabana Mahmood wants to achieve, and I've never met the lady, but she speaks the right sort of language on this subject. The Labour Party intrinsically, it's rather like the Conservative Party has got a sort of centrist wing that's a drag anchor. The Labour Party has got an open borders, progressive wing that doesn't really live in the real world, and as long as that's the case, the Labour Party is not going to be able to do anything practical.
All right, Henry, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.